Jacqueline, thank you so much for your time. I wonder if you could just tell us how extensive the damage from the oil spill has been. Now, I understand the ship ran aground at Pointe des Nids, which is a rare wildlife sanctuary.
Exactly. In fact, the ship ran on the shore on the 25th of July, and then it started spilling its oil nearly 12 days after. On the 6th of August it started. And now it's been nearly 10 days now we've been having this large oil spill from the wreck of the boat, who is about 7 kilometers away from the shoreline itself. And this long oil spill has been going straight to the shoreline, basically into mangroves. As you mentioned, this area is very sensitive because it has been declared as a Ramsar site, which is a wetland of international importance. And on that wetland, there is a lot of mangroves, a lot of areas where there's spawning of fish and everything, and seagrass areas. So it is an important site. There's also an islet called Île aux Aigrettes, where another NGO called the Mauritian Wildlife Conservation is doing groundwork on the islet to restore the native fauna and flora on that islet. And just next to it, there's another park, which is the Blue Bay Marine Park, which is one of the 2 marine parks declared in Mauritius. So the large area in itself is of ecological importance. It is not so much about the quantity of oil that has been put into the sea and who is impacting of our shoreline. It is the impact on the biodiversity that exists in that region and the uniqueness of the mangroves and of the area, which is important and which is impacting our local community.
And can you give us an idea of the scale of the impact? I mean, I'm hearing that obviously there's been an impact for the people who live in that area and perhaps live from the sea, but also marine life and also the vegetation in the area. But, you know, are you able to quantify how many birds have died, how the fish has been affected, how the coral reef has been affected?
Well, at this stage, we are not able to quantify exactly what is the extent of the damage. It's more on a longer period because the oil itself is now in the mangroves, and the impact of changing the biodiversity of the mangroves with the oil will have a long term, would be on the long term. We haven't had that much fish at this stage that have died because the Mauritian community, the local civil society and the NGOs have been extremely proactive as the start of the oil spill to build artisanal booms that have been put in places where we could bring the oil in one areas. In fact, the shoreline of about less than 20 kilometers is being touched by the oil spill, by small patches of oil into the mangroves and on the shoreline. But the shoreline of only 20 kilometers has been impacted. On the birds, we have local birds that have been caught in the oil spill itself, and they have died, unfortunately. And also, but what we fear the most is this long-term sticky oil which is in the mangroves that will take a longer time to be taken away. And also on the area where the ship has touched the coral reef, it has moved everything, it has broken the reef in itself. There's a new sort of island that has been of sand that has accumulated just behind the coral reef, which will change the whole of the current of the area and will have another impact on the way the water flows in this lagoon. And that area, there is a lot of artisanal fishermen, and definitely they will be impacted not only because there will be no fish, but they will be impacted by the fact that the fish, if they ever fish for anything, the population will be afraid of buying such a fish. So we need to really be as quick as possible to contain the oil in one area and to pump that as quickly as possible.
So long-term concerns. Thank you so much for giving us an update on what is happening in Mauritius. Jacqueline Sozier, President of the Mauritius Marine Conservation Society and a marine scientist.